Hey guys, it's Jeff, and today we are looking at what's on my iPhone in late 2018. This tech review video is sponsored by Clean My Mac X, which is a program that I've been using to keep my Mac running as fast as day one and also free from any malware. Clean My Mac X can improve your computer's speed to run up to 4 times faster, improve app responsiveness, and clear junk from your hard drive, giving you more space to work with. To learn more and check out the program for yourself, head over to Clean My Mac using the link in the description below. Okay, so I have the iPhone XS Max here. This is the device I'm using in late 2018. It's been my daily driver ever since it was released, and I'm absolutely loving it. I have it in the gold color, which is really nice with the gold bands all around the sides of the device. I'm just really loving everything about this device so far. So that is what I'm using in late 2018. Now you guys might be wondering, and you have been wondering, what case I've been using on my iPhone XS Max. This is the Spec clear case. I'll have it linked down below so you can go pick it up if you are interested in a clear case. I have other cases for review. I haven't gotten around to those, but I will pretty soon, so stay tuned for reviews on those. But let's just get right into it, guys. So let's go into the settings app and go to the about menu, and we'll show you just a few more specs on this device. So as I said, XS Max in the gold color, and I have 256 gigabytes of storage. You can't really go for the 64 gigabyte, and I couldn't justify using like the 500 plus gigabyte model. 256 seems to be good for me. As you can see, I am using quite a bit of that space, so obviously a 64 wouldn't really have cut it for me. But moving on to the version, and I'm on iOS 12.1 beta 4 at the time of filming this video. iOS 12.1 has been basically by far the best performing version of iOS 12 on my XS Max. I've had the least amount of issues with my new phone on this version, so I'm really enjoying that right now. Now moving on, this is kind of like new information that you can see within the new XS and XS Max about screen. So I am running Verizon Wireless, and there's just a few more details here on that. So yeah, I love Verizon, great service, and it's basically the best service in my area. So let's move on to screen time. Screen time is actually a feature that I use quite a bit. I use it in the sense that I check it all the time just to see what my usage is for specific apps and all of that. If you go into the menu here, you can just see, you know, I use my device quite a bit. Instagram, a lot of that is background and, you know, just browsing, I guess. There's just a lot of information here, and this is all of my devices, so this isn't specifically for my iPhone XS Max. These are just all of the devices. So Geekbench is, you know, I've been running tests on other devices. YouTube, I typically have YouTube running in the background sometimes on some of my devices and all that. I have a lot of pickups. Obviously, I'm a heavy user, and then a lot of notifications because I just, you know, have a lot of people contacting me. Messenger is, I typically use Messenger to contact friends and everything like that. And then, you know, just a lot of things going on. So obviously very busy in the screen time department. Now, a lot of you ask, like, do I actually use screen time and downtime? As you can see, I have no limit set for downtime or scheduled time away. App limits, don't have any of those, always allowed. Everything's allowed. I don't really have anything set up here specifically because I don't feel like I need it right now, and it would just kind of get in the way. I have very odd hours. Sometimes I'm up very early. I just can't like have, you know, all this set up right now. Now moving on, let's go over to the wallpaper menu, and right now I'm actually kind of disappointed with the iPhone XS and XS Max wallpapers, and basically all the live wallpapers for any device. I'd love to see more within iOS 12 updates and not specific to the newer devices. I would like them to be available to all of the devices, but as you saw and as you have been seeing, I do use this live wallpaper on my iPhone XS Max. It matches the gold color quite well, but if I were to switch over, I'd probably use this one. So yeah, I have been using, in regards to stills, I have been using the iOS 12 basically specific wallpaper in the past, and you know, I just really like that wallpaper. But as far as anything else, I've used the rainbow before, and that's about it. I haven't used anything else. I'd love to see more wallpapers here simply because I just love wallpapers. They kind of give a little bit more uniqueness to each device and kind of make make it like a new feel for your device. But that's what I use there. Now moving on to other specific settings, let's just go over to the control center. You can see that everything looks pretty standard here. I don't have a lot of control center toggles here just because I want to keep it nice and clean. I do use the flashlight quite a bit, and I have low power mode on there, obviously. Camera app I use quite a bit. Screen recording I definitely use quite a bit just to feature certain things on iOS 12 within my device, or just to give people short tutorials on how to do things. And then I have the home app. I use this to control certain lights, and then that's about it. I mean, it's pretty simple here, not anything too crazy, but I usually have the screen portrait orientation locked now because obviously there's a lot more functionality with the plus size model phones. So I usually have that locked because it kind of switches around on me quite a bit. So I like to just keep it locked when I'm not needing that feature. Now let's move on to the home screen, and everything looks very standard here. I switched out the normal stock calendar app for Fantastical simply because I love it. Fantastical is just a little bit more in-depth for a calendar app, and it really helps me with reminders and everything like that, and it just is all in one app, so I really am enjoying that. Now the camera, I'll have a review on the camera for the iPhone XS and XS Max, same camera obviously, but I have a lot to say on the camera. It's a really good camera, so I do find myself using the camera app quite a bit right now. So I'll have some pictures on screen of just some photos I've taken with the portrait mode. The new portrait mode is absolutely amazing on these new devices, and I think that's almost the best feature that I love most on these new generation XS devices. Now, if we take a look at some other apps here that I have, everything is pretty standard. I don't think much has changed since my last video of what's on my iPhone. Everything is basically the same, except for obviously we have a new app here, and that is Shortcuts. So Shortcuts, I've been messing around with those for the past couple of months, basically since it was in beta earlier this year. So right now we're on beta 2 of the official version, and that's really cool, just testing those out. If we go over to the widget page, we can see a little bit more on that. So I have Fantastical up there, just some weather, and then we have my batteries here. And yes, I have an Apple Watch. This is the Apple Watch Series 4. So you can go ahead, I'll have a review on that. Make sure to get subscribed and basically stay tuned for a review on that, because I had the Apple Watch Series 1, the original Apple Watch, and I have a lot to say switching from that over to the Series 4. So stay tuned for more news on that. Screen time here in the widget page, and then shortcuts, and then my data. Totally out of data, miscued that this month, but more on shortcuts. I have sort of a workflow here throughout the day. This is my morning on the left, and basically, word of the day. I like to start up with a word of the day, brush my teeth, log weight, log water, how much water I've been drinking, just to make sure. I live in SoCal, so it's definitely, pertinent to get a lot of water here, kind of hot throughout the year. But a lot of other things here. I'm actually going to have a full, in-depth look at what shortcuts I have and what they do specifically, because I've kind of tweaked a couple of these to do a little bit more customization when activated. So that's really cool. I'd say the calculate tip, this shortcut is honestly one of my favorites because it's so easy to calculate tip for going out to eat and all that. And then brushing my teeth, that's like a super long string of actions there that I like. And then start my ride. I go cycling, so I just like having that. Everything is really simple and automated. So I am really enjoying the Shortcuts app, and I'll have a lot more content on that coming really soon. On the bottom here, that's basically remained the same. We have Safari, Mail, my YouTube creator app, and then music. And let's go over to the next page here. As you can see, I love folders. Folders are, I like to stay organized. This is my way of staying organized. I don't have too many app pages, as you can see here. I like to just have it all in dedicated folders. So photo and video, I have a lot of apps here for Google Photos, just to be able to share photos a little bit more easily with people who don't have any iCloud accounts or anything like that. Halide is definitely an app that I use quite a bit, especially with the iPhone XS and XS Max. Halide has brought us a lot of features with these new phones. Now, one thing people are always surprised by is I do use the Google app here. I basically use it because I like having the news here laid out. This is a very nice layout for me, so yeah, I do prefer Google's layout here compared to Apple's. It's just something I really like. I don't know why Google has it like so well, but I just like what they have. And it basically gives me the news that I want. It's not just all of the news, it's really news that I'm interested in. So I really like that. So moving on to, and I do use Google Drive as well, and Authenticator, just because Google Drive is really universal for everyone, and then Authenticator is a really good authenticator app. Now, one thing you guys might want to see is games. I actually have quite a few games right now. Real Racing 3 is one of my favorite games. Mario Run, another favorite of mine. I haven't played Pokemon Go in ages, and there's another few games here. I used to play Clash of Clans, not as much now, but Jetpack Joyride is one that I really like. Going on to the second page, Doodle Jump, I absolutely love that game. That is one of my favorites, and Fruit Ninja as well. And then going over to the last page here, I have to keep Fortnite on the last page or else I'll just get stuck playing it all the time. But on the bottom here, there's 3 new games I've been playing. It's basically Knife Hit, Golf Rival, and Wind Rider. So those are 3 new games I've been trying out lately. Just seeing if I can get into gaming again on the iPhone or iPad. I don't really have that much time for games, but if I do play a game and I just want to be quick with it, Mario Run, Fruit Ninja, and lately Knife Hit have been ones that, those are basically my go-to games that don't take a lot of time. Now going on to the Apple menu or the Apple folder here, Facetime, I don't use that like a lot, so it's not on my front page. Just all the standard built-in apps here, App Store and Apple Support. I don't really use the Apple Support, luckily, that much, but it is a fantastic app if you need any support. Find My iPhone, haven't used that one in a while. Super thankful for that, because I don't have to find my iPhone. I lose my iDevices and my devices quite a bit, so I haven't done that lately though, so I'm really happy about that. But podcast, a lot of people ask like what podcasts I listen to because they see this app, and I have a lot of podcasts here. So Finding Mastery with, I think his name is Jarvis, Michael Jarvis. So he's a really good podcaster. Joe Rogan, awesome guy. Love listening to his podcast. Rich Roll is one podcast that I love listening to. He has a lot of inspirational podcasts and just a lot of motivating podcasts. So I love listening to those. These are all cycling related. I do like cycling, so those are just cycling related. You probably haven't heard of those 2 people except for Lance Armstrong. And Coin Mastery, that's like a very specific to cryptocurrency podcast. Haven't really been listening to that lately, but if you guys are looking for podcasters that are really good, maybe really inspirational, Joe Rogan and Rich Roll have really good podcasts. Finding Mastery with Michael Jarvis is a really good, basically psychology-based podcast. It has to do a lot with psychology and basically mastering the mind, so that's another really good podcast to listen to. Now, I do use the Files app. I really hope Apple kind of expands on that Files app, but hopefully more news on that later. But, right now it's just basically like a Google Drive of Apple. Wallet, don't use that very much. I do use Apple Pay. It's set up on my device, but I don't use it as much as like you'd think someone with like Apple Pay would use it. It's very rare just because not everyone takes Apple Pay right now, and it's just kind of a hassle. Now the Home app, as I said, I do use lights. Someone seems to have flipped the switch here so they're not activated, but I do use this for the other studio, and basically those control the lights for that. Now going on to the iTunes store, don't really use that, so yeah. Travel, I use Southwest quite a bit when I fly, and just a few more apps here, pretty standard, nothing too exciting. Now, I do have a full developer folder here. This is where I do all the testing for iOS 12, iOS 11, basically any version of iOS that comes out. I run a Geekbench test. so I use Geekbench quite a bit. I'd say the two tests that I use the most are CPU and compute, and then the battery is a very important test. I use that on all the devices basically to see how battery life is, and you can see some of the specs here of my device. I really like Geekbench. It's an absolutely amazing device, or amazing app to basically push your device to benchmark it. And Tutu is another really good benchmarking app. I really enjoy Antutu. It really pushes your iPhone, iPad, whatever device you may have really far. So same with 3D Mark. They are a PC based, like their benchmark started on PC and now they kind of switched over to, not switched over completely, but they do have benchmarks for, iDevices and all that. That really puts your, A12, A11, whatever chip you have in the hot zone. Like, it is a really intensive benchmarking app. So I really like using that just to mainly test GPU. I have speed test here for internet, and then test flight. I'm currently using, as I said, version 2.1 beta on my device, so I have the shortcuts app for that. It's just, I don't really use test flight that much. If someone has an app for me to test, obviously test flight is the easiest way to do that, so I just kind of use that, but lately haven't been using it as much. Now I do have the if this then that app. I haven't honestly been using this very much. As you can see, I'm going through the setup process here, and it's not even set up on my XS Max. I had it set up on my iPhone 10, but with the XS Max, just haven't touched it simply because I have shortcuts, and shortcuts is now integrated with if this then that as well, so that's really cool to have. But I think that shortcuts is basically all I'll need. Just having all of these have been so helpful. I know it's like the workflow app, but Apple has really basically kind of integrating with iOS is a lot better than just having the workflow app. So having all of these is just really nice, and the integration is wonderful. So I don't really have a need for if this and that right now, but maybe in the future. Now, I do have kind of like the rest of the stock apps here: calculator, compass, measure. Measure is a really helpful app if you have an iPhone 10 or iPhone 10s, 10s Max, iPhone 10R, whatever device you may have with AR capabilities. I think the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus also have those. Just the Measure app is so accurate, and I love using that. Don't really use voice memos, but it's just there and just in case I find the need to. And just a lot of other apps here. Amplify for Wi-Fi. I use that. It's a mesh Wi-Fi router that we have. And then I have the weather channel here. Tile I don't really use. That was for a review. Lumetric, that is the clock that I have on my desk. Not too many other things going on here. Now, Nomo Robo, I'll have a screenshot on screen of this app, and it'll be linked down below. Basically, Nomo Robo is an app that basically alerts you when you have a spam caller. I don't have any affiliation with them. I was just looking on the App Store for an app that would do this for me, and this seems to be the best reviewed one, and I'm really enjoying it. So check that out. Nomo Robo, if you have an iPhone and you get a lot of spam calls, that will basically alert you when you're getting a spam call. So that's really nice. But yeah, guys, that is what is on my iPhone in late 2018. Not too exciting here. I like to keep everything organized, as you can see, but I just wanted to highlight what I've been using lately, what I find to be really helpful for, iOS 12, running iOS 12, specifically with the Shortcuts app, really something that has a lot of potential in the near future. And then also some apps that I use pretty regularly, and then also, the camera app. Wait for a review on the iPhone XS and XS Max. The camera is going to be a huge part of that review, so stay tuned for that. So guys, thank you all for watching this sort of what's on my iPhone for 2018. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have any questions about my device, apps, or any accessories for the iPhone or anything like that. If you have any questions, please comment down below, and I'll be sure to answer those as soon as possible. So again, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to get subscribed if you haven't already, and also I'll catch you in some upcoming content. Make sure to stay tuned for that.
you.